So let's talk about phase one. Phase one is really building your website. And what you want to do overall is you want to build your website to Google standards. And I can't stress that enough. The reason being that we don't know what kind of competition you're going to face or not face. And that's why a competition analysis right now is not helpful. So, regardless, I want you to come prepared. And let's think about this in terms of hockey. I was an ice hockey goalie in dental school. And the truth of the matter is, I had no idea where I was going to have to stop a puck. And so I wore left and right pads. I wore a chest protector and a helmet and all the like because I didn't know if I was going to have to make a save with my left pad, my right pad, or my glove or my blocker. So I came prepared with everything. And that's why I have no idea what your competition is going to be. If nobody shot a puck up high to my glove side and I didn't have to make a catch, well, then great. I had it just in case. Eventually, somebody will, so I come prepared. And so the same concept I give you for Google Webmaster Standards. And the idea here, again, is that I want, if you were building a website with us tomorrow or with any other company tomorrow, I want you to make sure that it's, again, built to these baseline standards. Because if it's built to the standards, that means that at worst, you're in the conversation. I mean, at best, you'll rank really highly, you do well, you'll win. But absolute worst, you're in the conversation. And if you're not in the conversation, and then you want to eventually be in the conversation, it becomes a real problem. I don't want to be on the ice and then decide that I don't have the right equipment, and that would be really bad. So I think that that's something that we definitely want to make sure that you're doing now. And it looks like there is a question here. Okay, someone asked how you back up a Squarespace website, and the answer is I don't know if there's a really good way to back up a Squarespace website. What you can do though, in terms of taking Squarespace going from Squarespace to somewhere else, what I would recommend that you do is at least copy and paste each page into a text editor or into Word. So at least that way you have a copy of your content. That's really the most important thing. I don't think you can go from Squarespace to WordPress or like that, but certainly that's a way to save your content. And again, I hope that answers the question. If not, you can ask another question and we can come back to that. So at the end of the day, I want you prepared for no matter what's going to come at you, and that way a competition analysis doesn't matter. So the website goals that I have for my clients are the same goals that I have for you. And those goals are, number one, I want you to own everything. I don't care. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that everything you have there is yours. So whether it's going to be your domain names I want you owning, your web hosting account I want you in charge of, your backups, it's critically important. And so the other thing that we want to do is I want you to be able to manage the site yourself. You don't have to manage it yourself, but you certainly are able to do it. For example, today I noticed that in my nose cone, I was making a temp with my nose cone, and there's a tiny little air leak between where the cabling is and the back end of the handpiece. So I certainly could call the repair company and have them do that, or I could take a scissor, which I did, snip it, cut away that, the kind of breaking piece of cord and put it right back in there, and we're in good shape. But the point is that you have the ability to do it, and that's really important. Next, so again, the Ideal Dental website also is non-proprietary and open source. So what that means is a system like WordPress. And the reason I like WordPress, not just because it is what I use, but the idea is that I want to make sure that you can do whatever you want with the website. And so there are certain proprietary platforms, and I'm sure they're good for certain things. But at the end of the day, for my clients, I want you to have the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want. I was lecturing for the Academy of Pros a while back, and I said I could go home tonight and have no clients. And that's true, because everybody owns their own stuff, so they don't really need me. I mean, I hope they do need me, but that's the idea here. And so, so in terms of WordPress, that's really why I like that the best. So, what would you want to own? I want you to own the domain. I want you to own the Google account. That's especially critical. You're going to use Google Analytics. You might use Google AdWords. You should use Google Webmaster Tools, which is now Google Search Console. We will, for example, when we do AdWords with the client owns the AdWords account, and we're there as a manager or administrator, and we can be removed at any time. Same thing with analytics. Because at the end of the day, if you decide to leave, which people do, that's okay. I don't want you to have to beg me to get access to your accounts and your analytics. That's not fair. I liken this to denture, where I say it's I would never make a denture out of a proprietary acrylic where only I have the burr. You own the content. That's critical. Now, sometimes when you do get a website, you do have content that comes with it. When we build a website, and I've kind of loosened up on this over the years, when you build a website, sometimes you just don't have the ability to write your own content, or you don't want to, and that's okay. I really, really, really prefer that people write their own content, but we happen to offer a one-time licensing fee for a set of 15 pages of content. I discourage people from using it, so I want them to write their own, but certainly it is something that exists. That being said, better content is content that you own. And so whenever we build a new site for somebody, we have them write their content or we write it. But if we're migrating someone from another platform or rebuilding, one of the questions we ask is, do you own the content? So if you own it, we bring it to the next website. If you don't own it, or you don't have a license for it to use it, then you can't use it. And most companies will license it so you can use it while they're still a client of theirs. For us, you pay for it once and we license it and then do whatever you want with it. That's the deal. But that is something to think about. Also, you own the stock images. This is huge. For those of you on Dentaltown, that you'll see that with stock images, don't trust that your web developer, quote unquote, took care of it for you for the images. That's a real problem, because at the end of the day, iStockPhoto, Getty Images, and those image sites, if they find you're using an image and they ask you to show the license for it and you don't have it, it could be a fine in the thousands. So what you should look at here is to make sure that you own the stock images. What we do is we have the client create the iStockPhoto account or the PhotoDune account, and then we go in there and tell the client what to get. So that way the client owns the license for all that stuff. Same thing with the theme. We don't do themes anymore. At this point, we're really doing custom builds, but certainly in the past when we use themes, we absolutely have the client own the license for the theme. And for backups. For WordPress, we use a plugin called Backup Buddy, and that's, I think, $80 a year. And our clients own the license for that. We don't. And the reason is because I want my clients to have a copy of their own backup that they can use whenever they'd like. Next. So this is really important. It's what we call NAP, name, address, phone number. And I'm going to do a totally separate webinar on it. I think it's not next month, the month after. One of the most important things now is the ability to make sure that your name, address, and phone number are consistent across the web. And like I said, we're going to do a whole webinar on that, but it's important that, I'm either listed as David Wank DMD or David A. Wank DMD, but consistently across the web. You don't want David Wank DMD, David A. Wank DMD, or by mistake, I've seen me come up as David Wank DDS. That's not me. And so that's important that that's consistent. Moz.com is a website, I think, and Moz.com local, that you see the link at the bottom there. I think they charge something like $80 or maybe it's $100 a year, and it helps you make your listings consistent. I think it's fantastic, and I recommend that all of our clients get it. I have no affiliation with them, and I like them. So next. So let's talk about those standards briefly. So there's all sorts of things that Google wants you to do when you're building your website, and all sorts of things that go into how your web page would rank. So, for example, I'm in Tribeca. For those of you who know me, I work for a large health center as a salary dentist. I couldn't run my own business and run my companies at the same time, although I'd like to try. But at the end of the day, if someone did a search for dentist Tribeca, a lot of these features go into it. And some of the things that go into it, as you can see here, are, for example, let me find that cursor. Here in the left column, is it mobile ready? That's huge. If your website is not mobile ready, it doesn't show up the way it should on an iPad or an iPhone or Android devices, you're going to be penalized, in your rankings at least. Same thing here with title tags. You've got it, and don't worry what this means, your web developer knows. Title tags, heading tags, all tags are twice. So all of those things are important in terms of making sure that your website is built to these standards. Because at the end of the day, If there's 10 of us in Tribeca who want to rank for Dentist Tribeca, Google's going to look at a lot of these factors. And if your website doesn't have a lot of these things, then you may not rank as well. Now, if you're in the middle of Miles City, Montana, where there's only one dentist for 300 miles or something, then it might not be as big of an issue. But here, for example, we're going to get to this. Your Google My Business profile, your navigation, accurate name, address, phone number, all of these things are things that should be done. The speed of your page, those are all things that go into the ranking that I consider as baseline. And so while we do have an idea, as you see on this slide, of some of the things that Google wants to look at, we don't know what the relative value is of them, or the relative weight. So for example, I could tell you title tags we know are important, so is page speed. Right now, reviews might be important in ranking you. I have no idea, and no one really has any idea, if the number of reviews really make a difference. Same thing with your bounce rate. Does that make a difference? I'm not sure. You want to keep it low. SSL, they've been talking about making the web secure. I don't know if right now that's a critical ranking factor. I know that being responsive is. That's where the website shrinks to fit the proper window on your phone or your tablet. Having alt tags, which are text equivalents to your images. So that's something that's really important to consider. And so when we're doing it, that's why we built a standard, because I don't know who's going to come, and I want to make sure that you are positioned properly. Now, there is another question. Let me take a look. Now, someone said, do you lose your rankings if you switch from one website platform to another? And the answer generally, it's a great question, is no. Because what you do is you use something called a 301 redirect. And your web developer knows what that means. But basically what you say to them is, if you have the same name, if you're going from shorthillsdesign.com/meetdrwank to on Squarespace to shorthillsdesign.com meetdrwank on WordPress, it doesn't matter. If you're going from shorthillsdesign.com/meetdrwank on Squarespace to shorthillsdesign Dr. David Wank on WordPress, you've got to do a redirect, or WordPress or anywhere. And what that redirect does, it says to Google, hey, Google, that page that ranked well, that was shorthillsdesign.com/meet Dr. David Wank, that page is now going to be /meet Dr. Wank. So you say, Google, this is what the old page was, and that had all those rankings and all those good things about it. And now that page is over here. It's the same page. And the same thing if you're switching domains. If we went from Short Hills Design to Long Hills Design, we would say shorthillsdesign.com/Dr. Wank is now longhillsdesign.com/Dr. Wank in a 301 redirect. And so that's something you have to do. It's a little technical, but it is very doable. And when you switch, they say you keep a good 95% of that ranking. All right, so let's talk about Google Maps and Google My Business. So Google Maps is for consumers, period. You want to go to the Starbucks, you type in Starbucks in Google Maps, and it shows you Starbucks. Terrific. Here's Short Hills Design, for example. This is an older slide, but you type in Short Hills Design, for example, you see me on the map, you click the button, you can get directions. Now, what Google Maps does is that Google said, look, you know what? It would be a really great idea if we could basically be the yellow pages of the web. And so what Google did is they made a location, a page, so to speak, for every physical retail location they could find. And what they said is, hey, vendor, hey, Short Hills Design, if you want people to find you, basically if you sign up and you give us your information for free, we can help coordinate things for you. So Google My Business is the program for businesses to manage the listings. So all the stuff you see here, where it says the address, the phone number, the hours, review, blah, 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 blah. So again, I did search for Short Hills Design here because I wanted to show you this area over here. But this is information that I had entered into Google My Business. And so Google basically says, hey, listen, you have a listing here. We want to make sure that that listing is correct and well populated. And as a reward for filling it out, we'll make sure the information is there. Now, does it affect your ranking? If you look back here in the one of the ranking slides, the Google My Business profile, the answer is I don't know. But we really do think that It's the kind of thing where if Google says you should have a complete Google My Business profile, it makes sense to have a complete Google My Business profile. I don't know if me and, if there are 5 dentists in Tribeca and 4 of us have not, the 4 of them have the profile not filled out and I have the profile filled out, will I rank ahead? I don't know. There's a lot of factors that go into it. But since I don't know what that factors are going to be, or at least their weight, I'm going to do it anyway. And it's something you should do. And it's free. You can go to google.com/business. And we basically twist arms. I twist arms to make sure that my clients fill it out. And filling it out doesn't mean 90%. Filling it out means 100%.